I enjoyed the movie. I think Fury Road is my favourite. I think it's not quite up to there, but it all depends really on what you think, obviously.
Okay, well, so a couple of things that was said in that interview. Firstly, silent movies with sound, which is great. That's, show don't tell cinema. And do see this in the cinema. That lovely thing hearing George Miller say, I love it when the seat rumbles, because you're there for the rumble, not specifically for the dialogue. And it is interesting to think that when the Mad Max or the Road Warrior movies began, they were basically the kind of exploitation stuff that you would see at the Scala. This guy going head to head with a brutal biker gang in a near future because they've killed his wife. And I mean, that was essentially exploitation cinema. And then the series got bigger and the budgets and locations got bigger. And in the first lot, the hair got bigger and bigger and bigger until in the end, it was absolutely hair-tastic. Then Fury Road kind of rewrote everything with Charlize Theron's Furiosa. So this is now prequel to that, set, as George Miller said, 50 years from next Wednesday, which I thought was a very, very Douglas Adams word.
Which makes it May the 29th, 2074.
But it's also, it's
very specific.
Yeah, anyway, but so lovely thing. So Anya Taylor-Joy is the younger Furiosa. We first meet her as a child, played by Alila Brown. Thank you for asking about the pronunciation, because I too would have, messed that up. In the Edenic...
It's a name I hadn't seen before.
No, exactly. So she's in the Green Place, which has wind turbines, and she's kidnapped, taken to the lair of Chris Hemsworth's Dementors, who is a sort of Roman leader gone rogue. He goes around in a chariot pulled by 3 motorbikes, and he's very interested in culture. It reminded me of the character of the demonic character of the devil in Time Bandits, who keeps asking his assistant, "Tell me more about subscriber trunk dialing," or that thing in Monty Python and the Holy Grail when King Arthur wants to know, "Tell me more about this new science and how it is that we now know that the Earth is shaped like a banana," and also all that stuff about Dark Ages, medieval setting. A lot of things do bring us back to Python. So she goes from Dementors to Immortan Joe, now played by Lockie Hume, still reminding me of Baron Harkonnen from the Lynch Dune, sort of the pustular quality. Winds up sharing rig riding duties with Praetorian Jack, and then it all leads up to a showdown with Dementors with Chris Hemsworth. So in the case of Fury Road, it was basically a there and back again chase movie. I mean, it's like, what is it, 3 days, 2 nights, I think is what he said.
Yes, that's what he said, yeah.
In the case of this being an origins tale, it goes over years. I mean, to point when you have a different actor playing the character young. And incidentally, you're quite right. It's hard to tell the point at which the character changes. I mean, that is a really seamless transition from one actor to another.
It is.
So it's divided up into these portentously gnomic chapters, like the pole of inaccessibility and lessons from the wasteland. And the phrase that's been used, it looks like David Lean after doing a line of Diesel. And I do think there is a kind of Python quality as well. And I mean that in a good way, in terms of the way that the Pythons would do sort of medieval settings. Okay, so what you lose is the tautness of Fury Road, which I think is why it was that, you were saying that for you, that's the superior film. What you gain is Fury Road was pedal to the metal. This is an exercise in sort of comic strip myth building. It's like, it's like the Odyssey, like Petrolhead Odyssey. And the locations are world building, whether it's the Green Place or Gastown or Bullet Farm. But what that means is that there are longeurs. Yes, there are sections. I mean, whereas Fury Road just goes. This has breathing space. And one of my criticisms of Fury Road, although, I was probably too harsh, was that it almost became exhausting. This doesn't, because it has light and shade. It has the darkness, and then it has the light sections. It has the sections which move slower. It has sections I think some people might even find boring. The vehicle designs are it's cars upon cars upon cars. The massive, war rigs which have got this thing. Is it called the Bobby Knocker at the back? Which use the Bobby Knocker, and suddenly
about right.
The whole back of the thing starts spinning. And again, that's like kind of medieval jousting. Chop top cars. Cars with machine guns, motorbikes tied to chariots, flying whirly things. One of which resembles the squid-like creature that appears in the sky from Nope. And it's funny because Fury Road had this very specific nod to the cars that ate Paris. This is almost like it's nodding to the animation cars, in which everything, the landscape, absolutely everything seems to be automotive. You're absolutely right about the sound. of the sound work is great, as is the stunt work. There's a lot of very good stunt work in it. And then it has at the centre of it Anya Taylor-Joy. And Anya Taylor-Joy is clearly on a mission to demonstrate to all of us that she can do anything, that there is nothing that she cannot do. You know, you want to play a chess player, fine. You want to, you know, be in the victory. She's great. And she has got one of those incredibly expressive faces, which means that even if she doesn't have any more than, what did he say, 30 lines or something, you know what...
Yeah, 30 lines in the whole film.
Yeah, which is extraordinary. But you know what's going on because she's got one of those faces that telegraphs emotions. And I really think that your point about she was a dancer, Charlize Theron was a dancer, and George Miller has directed a dance movie in as much as, you know, Happy Feet is that. And that choreography, that balletic thing is part and parcel of that. So, okay, it may not be as good as Fury Road in the absolute stripped down sense. Incidentally, there's a black and white edition of Fury Road, and there are certain scenes in this in which at night time it almost goes to black and white, almost like it does in certain sections of the second Dune movie. But I think that what this does is it gives you breathing space. And I wanted that in Fury Road, and I got it now. So yes, it's probably overlong, and there are probably longers, but in order to give it that up and down quality, I'll take it. What about you?
I did think it was terrific, and I would like to see it again, because there was there's a lot going on, and there's so much to admire. Just to say again, you know, big screen but good sound system.
Yeah,
very important. I realized listening back to the interview, I didn't even mention Chris Hemsworth, but he did. I think he was clearly enjoying the role. Did he remind you of the kind of Messiah who would end up being baptized in the Thames by the chief scout? That's who he reminded me of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought that the contrast of the fact that she says very little and he says a lot, and there's this very funny moment, it's a bitter moment in which he gets a tear off her face and he puts it in his mouth and he says, "It's piquant." It's piquant, because what he's trying to do is be kind of erudite and all the rest of it. But it's piquant. And it has a slightly more bitter texture than the tears of joy. And then the sort of the guy who's the keeper of all knowledge, who is absolutely the guy who would explain that the world is shaped like a banana and would explain subscriber trunk dialing. But yeah, I thought he was having the time of his life, wasn't he?
Yes, I would. And would you think this is... it would like a nail-on certainty that there's going to be the third one. If he wants to do another Mad Max film... and apparently Tom Hardy is going to be back in it, that's going to happen, isn't it?
One would imagine so. I mean, he's right. You never can tell. It's certainly true that Fury Road did much better than anybody had expected. And I know that some of the responses to this have been a little bit mixed. So let's see how it does. But as a sort of cinema experience... I mean, it's a film made to be seen in the cinema. It is the kind of thing you say, if you're going to see this, don't wait for it to come out on streaming or on Blu-ray or whatever it is. Go and see it in a cinema with a big sound system.